Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder of Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacino. How is everyone doing today? Good morning, Ramsafal. Good morning, Coco. I don't think it will. Well, besides, there'll probably be a ton of call options going off in Tesla. It'll move Tesla up, probably. Hey Chris, welcome. The stream cuts it kind of close to the open. Well, you're free to leave at any time. It's hard for me to start it earlier and get all my prep done. And I'm trying to get it closer so we have more information. But thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. Hey, hey, Waka Waka. Money making Mike, what's up? Hey Chris. Well, good morning. Good morning, Patrick. Can't trust Monday, huh? Can you trust Tuesday though? That's the big question, Patrick. Good morning, Davey. Good morning, Options 22. Yeah, VIX did gap up. Nice gap up with the markets up. So interesting little move there. Let's start the show. Good morning, Andrea. Thank you. Oh, Andrea's becoming a regular. And to anybody else who wants to become a regular, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term subscribers, please come back, leave a comment, and like the videos. All right. All right. So what do we have here? Chicago National Activity Index. It was forecast to actually be zero. It's not on this site, but it came in at minus 0.19, so still in contraction mode, but that is minor. We're going to keep an eye on the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index to see if that stays as much below zero as before and in contraction. But those aren't going to be major market moving, especially with the Fed coming up on Wednesday and major earnings. Market mixed, but a lot more green. Oil still there, but a market a lot more green. FOMC still at 75 basis point. You see there's no 50 basis point on here, so it's either 75 or 1, or 100 basis points, but it's really geared towards that 75, and I doubt they'll shock it higher. For the alpha, I'm just going up with this. This is the combined dealer gamma exposure. It's right there. I mean, this is minor negative. So unless we start selling off rapidly to get in a deeper negative gamma, there isn't much there, and a slight rally takes it into positive gamma, which is a hedging move. So it decreases the market volatility because dealers sell into rallies, buy into dips. Let's see. Earnings this morning, not major. I did peek at Infosys, which missed on EPS but beat on revenue, so we'll have to see where that looks like after the close. No biggies, but I will glance in at Logitech just from that tech aspect. So that's what I'm looking at. Other than that, more big things start coming up tomorrow, so keep that in mind. And not all tech, but UPS is big because it shows with the delivery cycles and if there's pullback in the consumer. Coca-Cola is going to be interesting. GM, for the supply chain issues and how the vehicle outlook is. McDonald's from the consumer. So we'll take a look at that later today. Where else do we sit? Let me see here. Good morning, Wavy. Yes, it is a busy week. Well, thank you, Ramsafal. Good morning, Lauren. Good morning, Aaron. I got to say good morning to everybody else. It's not a good morning. Good morning, Anissa. VIX, no bottoming pattern yet. This gap up looks fake. I think it's going to attempt to fill the gap if we get this slight rally. Now, I'm just keeping an eye right here. And again, sorry for just a one camera. I got to look. It's too hard for me to see on this one screen, so I got to glance over to my other screen, and I can't reposition it higher than the notebook running all this right now. But what are we watching? We got a slight up move. Again, little breakout in the overnight session from this horizontal base. So, I mean, it's a support area. Anywhere from 39.73 to about 39.67 is a support area going in the open. Not going to get overly bearish until we break down below 39.50. And it's just minorly bearish because we got 39.30, then 39.05 to the upside. Remember, it could be interesting trading going into Wednesday, unless we get some really shocking earnings. To the upside, we have right here's where I'm watching about 39.89 to 39.91. We start getting through there. And that's, I can't trade that as a double with this spike down, by the way. So it's still really, let me just jump back to here. 39.29, even if we break down below 39.50, that's going to be the real key level you're watching for. That's going to be the real key first breakdown level to tackle this 3900. To the upside, I'm going to revise that. I need to get above about 39.94, and then I'll look for a run to this 4,016. Then we got the major cluster 4,027, then 4,039. Cycles going up on the 4-hour, remember, topping and trying to roll over on the daily, but we can keep moving sideways for a bit. And remember, your rotation zone is right down at this 39.30, and we usually get a first reaction in that area. And if we don't, if massive selling comes in, which there's no indication just yet, the secondary reaction point would be this 39.05 with this other key breakout area and the bottom of the rotation zone. So I'm not watching for the market to just tank. Even if we sell off, we got a fair amount of support to get through. I'm actually looking potentially for the upside breakout and another attempted run up if it's a quieter market day. Remember, all the reports besides the Dallas stuff is out of the way. NASDAQ is a little weaker. You see here only up 19 basis points versus 31 for the S&P. The NASDAQ, I'm watching for Friday's low for the breakdown area, but then it would be just a quick breakdown to 12,275, 12,290 for support. And if that was broken, my next major support is 12,164. You can see hugging that 4-hour rotation zone, but I'm really watching this again, this level right below it. Right below here. To the upside, if we start breaking up above 12,530, then I'm playing for a minor retest of 12,582, major of 12,700. And then the next major harmonic above that is closing in at 12,775 to 12,800. With the 4-hour cycles moving up, daily cycles moving down, it's going to be interesting to see how these move down. And also remember, weekly are at the top on everything, which I covered yesterday. But generally, with all the support in here, I don't want people to get, all right, just overall, this would not be a position for super bearish because you're going to most likely, unless something shocks the market, you retest this area on any sell-off first, we get that bounce, and the secondary move is the one that's the higher probability. Dow is up, 35 basis points. That's actually the strongest, followed by the Russell. So I am definitely watching for a potential breakout move on the Dow above 32.25, then 32.180, then the major cluster 32.331. Would love to see a retest of that before a potential rollover. A breakdown move minor would be 31.775. More significant about 31.645, but you have major support 41.480 to 41.500. Again, everything's pretty much the same with the markets breaking out of here and then becoming support not only with the rotation zone but just with the static price action. It's got to get through a reaction lower than a bounce before the big rollover, even with cycles at the top. Hey, Christoph, good morning. I'll sell the house at fix 620. Russell, again, everything's trading so similarly. Russell, my breakdown area is right now 1800. And then minor will be 1793. So that's where I'll be watching for minor support. But we get below that, there's nothing till 1775. You have a little vacuum down there. So I'll watch for a bounce down there to the upside. Got to go to the shorter term charts. Again, broke out of this key 1808 overnight. But I will be watching minors 1820. But if it starts getting above about 1826, that's a more significant breakout level for a retest. I'm not expecting new highs in the Russell, so I'm watching 1837 to about 1840 as the levels. The DAX futures, again, we have that double that's triggered, coming back, a nice little sideways move to sort of flatten it out. Cycles are trying to roll over. It's reacting as 50. I'm still watching for the next push higher to 13,440. and then potentially this 13,595 before the next rollover play in the DAX. And you see we got that first reaction pausing at the weekly rotation zone and weekly cycles not at the top. So I am still watching for a continued push into this. Above here, if it gets a stronger push, really focus on, for all those people who watch the DAX, 13,750 with the top of the weekly rotation zone, and there's still a gap left behind. So that could be a really nice setup potentially for another rollover move. Crude, little teaching moment here. Since it did move up above here, raise stop. It hit technically with this little spike low, hit the walk away stop. So that move is technically over for a reduced stop risk, but that was sort of a bummer with this reaction because no close below the 200. So I'll be watching for a new setup play in crude. Again, what I'm keying off of for the breakdown play is first watching on a closing basis on the daily only. A close below this 94 because that would be, again, the first close since December 20th. And that could be a forebearer for the double the trigger that I need on the weekly. Other than that, on a minor break today, I'm focusing on Friday's high, about 98. Other than that is sit on hands until I get a stronger pattern now. Natty gas still continuing. Remember, my next target is this 855 to 860 area. Gold now watching for the pullback and the longer term play coming in. We talked about the 5 wave down. Dollar index still looks like it's trying to roll over, break down below this 105.98. Get below that. My target is 105.35. Why that target? Is a prior breakout level and the area of the rising weekly rotation zone. Then I'll start watching for a secondary reaction back up. VIX, as mentioned, can somebody punch in, since this is delayed, what it is currently off their trading platform? Again, pre-market, if we start getting choppy to slightly up, I'm going to be watching the gap fill for the VIX. If the VIX can't fill the gap, then that does not bode well for a continued rally into the Fed. So keep that in mind. I will shift much more to bearish mode. So you see these top areas. We got a top at 24.73. We got a top at 24.67. And today's top so far, 24.57. So within that topping area, 24.57 to about 24.73, we start breaking above there. I'm going to shift to more bearish mode, and that's just not for today. I will shift to more bearish mode for a retest of this daily rotation zone and the 26 level, especially with cycles turning up. Now, it could stay down here going into the Fed meeting. And remember, with the Fed meeting, in case you don't tune in every day, it's not the Fed meeting that's going to be as important unless they really shock the market with something. It's going to be the press conference afterwards. And generally, you get the first move's the fake out move. Keep that in mind. Hey, Mike, why bottoming patterns are easier than topping patterns? Bottoming patterns are easier I'm not talking in commodities. I'm talking more so in stocks. Yes, and GDP is 30. We have everything back weighted this week. Remember, I reviewed that yesterday. Why are bottoming easier than topping patterns in the stocks? Because people tend to buy stocks instead of selling stocks. And stocks tend to bottom more rapidly and reverse because people tend to just buy stocks and buy the overall passive funds and everything now. Topping patterns take a lot longer to play out. And in a stock market, topping patterns have a slightly lower probability than bottoming patterns. So just a slightly lower probability in the broad market, but not in the individual stocks. Just peek at the Euro JPY, finish that double pattern nicely, and moving back up. This is where I start watching to see how strong the secondary reaction is. So that's what we're going to be gauging over the next little bit. Bitcoin pulling back, even with the NASDAQ holding up, Bitcoin pulling back. The key level is still 21,600. We start breaking below that. I'm watching for a retest of the channel. Can't get bullish at all, and that would be only be short-term bullish instead of till about 21,400. I think there's going to be a lot more carnage in Bitcoin, especially with the next rollover. Tesla, watch for options play, especially with the news coming out with Elon over the weekend. He's constantly in the headlines. Again, I am long-term bearish, as everybody knows, but can't get even short-term bearish as long as this support level holds with the rising rotation. Even with cycles at the top, this key level of 774, then about 752 is a major support zone, especially when we see all the gamma juicing from last week. Above 836, there's a gap left behind, so that's the gap fill play to 865. Do keep that in mind, especially if you get the gamma juice in there. The Qs, not much has changed with this right now. Pre-market, just up slightly. But remember, if you do break down, and this just isn't for today, if we do break down, because even with a rally today, this could rally rollovers. I covered yesterday more in depth. So if you want the in-depth, watch the Qs. I'm watching for a potential. This is still early. I'm watching for a potential head and shoulders topping pattern. Now, technically, this would be a slight down sloping neckline. I'm using it as a flat neckline. It's a more advanced concept I've been working on for a few years. For anybody who's taken my stuff years ago, I've been testing this out now for a while, and it is holding up very well. So on a rally, 304.20. On a breakdown, not just for today, you start breaking down below 300. Major target 296.50. So those are your key levels. And if it rallies more, remember, just put on whether you can use the harmonics or, the fibs are close enough for the people who can't do the harmonics. Your major level is what I just said about this 304.30, 304.30 area. And then the 62.5 is 305.40. You need at least, I'd play at this point for a 4-hour close above that in order to target the highs. You got the cycles turning up on the 1 hour, cycles turning down on the 4 hour, cycles turning down on the daily, cycles at the top on the weekly. So we could have some limited upside, and this is still true for the overall market. A limited upside. The risk is to the downside, but not necessarily today. Sorry, SPY. Same thing. SPY is an upward sloping neckline. My key resistance is at 396.70 about, and the breakdown area I'm watching for is about 392.62. So just wanted to point that out to everyone. There is a sector overview. Yeah, that should be up there. Is it not up there, everyone? Did I not set it? I thought I set it to live. Hold on. Let me just double check. Yeah, the sector, oh, it's still unlisted. So, oopsie. Oopsie, my problem, my mistake. There, it's live now. Watch the sector overview. Thank you, Christoph. It's live on Path Trading. Thank you for pointing that out. Sorry, still dealing with all this setup. Yeah, it's live now. Could somebody take a look at the channel? Bullish or bearish? Again, I listed the thing. I'm watching for a potential move to the limited move to the upside today, unless we start breaking down in the S&P. Minor will be 39.50, but then it's limited downside 39.29. Okay, because we have a lot of support levels. So bearish would be just minorly bearish until we get the secondary reaction. You're welcome, Wavy. What will happen if crypto Fed announces a 100 basis points move? If Fed announces a 100 basis point move, we'll probably get a more aggressive sell-off in the NASDAQ, and you'll probably get another rollover move more aggressively in crypto. Remember, crypto is working off its major last sell-off. We could still see Overall, we got cycles topping on the weekly. It's working off its major oversold condition with this bounce, returning to the weekly rotation zone. I'm going to start watching for the bigger rollover play. I just need cycles on the daily to get through one more iteration before I really start targeting that. And we don't have a strong reversal pattern unless, even if you test the other side of the channel, your strong reversal pattern does not happen unless you start breaking below about 19,100. I am glad you're trading a 5-minute chart. You could. What I'll give you a recommendation with Dimitri is you can trade very short term. That is wonderful. You know, just be picky with your entries and use the levels from the higher time frame charts. Higher time frame levels are more important than lower time frame levels, but you can use the lower time frame levels for breakdown or breakout plays. What will happen? I already said that it'll more aggressively break down with the Nasdaq. All right, with that, we got 5 minutes to the open. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for all the new people who are attending. Remember, if you'd like to be part of this channel, please do consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. We go live every day before the market open at 8 a.m. Central and after the market close. Remember, if anything happens with the markets majorly, I will try to pop on intraday. Otherwise, we'll do a recap. We won't go there in one fell swoop. It won't be because of the 100 basis points. It's going to be when the rest of some more of these crypto firms blow up that have been tied to massive leverage. You're welcome, Eric. Now, it will trigger a start a sell-off, which then will have a cascade effect, Rich. You're welcome, Andrea. You are welcome, Anissa. Again, if you haven't already, please check out the sector overview on the page. Sorry, I messed up and did not make that live yesterday. What happens at 75 basis points? That's already baked in, so it's all going to base off the press conference. It's all going to base off their guidance then. That's why I said watch the press conference. If they are still more aggressive, it's going to be downward pressure on the market. If they hint that they're going to ease up or go into more reassessment and not go as strong, you could still see another pop to the upside before the next major rollover play. But we'll fine-tune that going with the price action going into Wednesday. That's why you should tune in. You're welcome, Lauren. Hey, what is it? Mashish? Did I say that? Mashish? Please let me know if that is your correct pronunciation, and I'll chat with everyone later. Bye for now.